What a day, what a day, what a day. So, as you can see here, I'm going to talk about this topic. I wasn't really going to talk about it, but I was watching at ESPN a minute ago. Max Kellerman and Stephen A. Smith and somebody else. I can't remember who it was. I think it was the moderator. And Max Kellerman begins his intro about how Floyd Mayweather flipped the script on boxing and how he made boxing, seen from the eye of the fighter. How the best good situation for a fighter would be, of course, not to take much punishment, make a lot of money, and get out of the sport, right? So he's arguing that case, and then he uses examples of that where Mayweather waited out Pacquiao, and when the demand for Pacquiao was very high, Mayweather took the fight, and he talks now about how Mayweather's doing the exhibitions, and he realized he didn't have to face any more boxers, take any risk at all. He could just face, some well-known guy who's not a boxer, make a lot of money. And he's saying how, the exploited nature of boxing where the fans want to see that. That's contrary to the fans. So that's his prelogue. As we know, Max Kellerman is a guy who, quite frankly, is intellectually dishonest. In fact, in Lion Killer Dan, in his podcast, talks about how you can't trust Max Kellerman anymore. And Max Kellerman very deceitfully pitches these flawed arguments. And I say it's flawed because any boxer trying to do that, what Max Kellerman just said, they're going to find themselves in a situation where they're going to fail to do that. Teofimo Lopez was one of the guys that first talked about Pretty Boy Floyd. You don't get to Floyd Mayweather's level, and you don't get that kind of money, and you don't get that kind of cachet, and you don't get that kind of global respect by doing what Max Kellerman suggests. And Max Kellerman is giving a lot of young fighters out there a formula to fail. Okay? And the reasons are simple. The first reason is that boxers who try to do that, they try to wait out fighters. They try to wait out fights. Guess what? You increase the probability of you losing a fight and losing that big fight. 2, you try to go the route of getting the least amount of punishment, the most amount of dollars. You're going to fail as well because you're not going to face stellar competition. You'll always be looking to face competition that are less than stellar. Being deceived by the fact that Floyd actually faced stellar competition throughout his career. In fact, in the latter half of his career, when he was out of his prime, he faced better competition than in the beginning of his career. Case in point, when Floyd was 36 years old, he faced a young Canelo Alvarez, who was the unified 154 champion in the world, was bigger than him. That was a risk. Look at Canelo today, about to take on Callum Smith. And I'll talk a little bit more about that fight in a minute, in my next stream. So, Max Kellerman's talking a load of horse shit. And the problem with these guys is they're not held accountable for what they say. Nobody's fact-checking them. Okay? Nobody's fact-checking these guys. So the younger fighters who think they can be like Floyd Mayweather, first of all, you're supposed to be wanting to face the best, which Floyd always wanted to face the best, which is just that the difference is Floyd wanted to also make the most amount of money. When Floyd reached the pinnacle of boxing, which was he was the cash cow and pound for pound number 1 in the world, that's a deadly combination. When he was both those things, now he needed to have a dance partner. Now he needed to have an opponent that could boost her and make him make even more money because the opponent was that credible. When he retired from boxing, it wasn't because he was afraid of any fighter. It was because there was nobody that matched that cachet. He had went to the mountaintop. He had beaten Oscar De La Hoya, the cash cow. Then he went on to face Ricky Hatton, who had a country behind him. Paul Williams was a guy from America. He didn't have a country behind him. Miguel Cotto wasn't looking to fight him, but that would have been great because it's from Puerto Rico. He had a country behind him. But, Bob Arum didn't want Cotto to face Floyd. There's a reason why Floyd retired. Okay? Floyd waited around for Paul Williams still, and Paul Williams lost his fight. But that's besides the point. The cachet of fighter. So when Floyd came back out of retirement, who did he face? Juan Manuel Marquez, right? And, I remember Mr. Clueless to this day. What's his name? I forgot what his name is. Brian Kenny saying, why don't you face Shane Mosley instead of Marquez? And Mayweather was like, dude, first of all, Marquez got a country behind him. A country. Do you understand? He has a country behind him. Like Mayweather was like, don't you understand the mathematics? But on top of that, of course, Brian Kenny, who's, high on bravado, small on brains, didn't realize that Mayweather was targeting Marquez because he wanted to get at Pacquiao. And here's Brian Kenny saying, why didn't you face Pacquiao next? And Mayweather's like, he didn't want to answer the play because it was a chess move. So Mayweather's like, well, ain't Marquez and Pacquiao the same size? Here you are asking me to face, why am I not facing Pacquiao? And here I am facing a guy that's the same size as Pacquiao and Marquez. But you're telling me that Marquez is too small for me. But Pacquiao and Marquez is the same size. Oh, man. Mayweather was just having fun with him. You say, why don't you face Pacquiao? And Mayweather was like, look, here we go again. Look at this. You're telling me that Marquez is too small for me and Marquez and Pacquiao are the same size. It was funny listening to the interview. Brian Kenny, who knows nothing about boxing, right? To this day, got checked by Lennox Lewis and by a great coach. Hold on, look up, Joe Goose. But yeah, Max Kellerman is being very deceptive because Mayweather faced the best names. What a lot of people forget, and they still forget to this day, is Juan Manuel Marquez was pound for pound number 2 in the world when he faced Floyd Mayweather. Marquez had come up from featherweight to super featherweight to lightweight and dominated each division. All right, he was the lineal champion of lightweight and of super featherweight. He was the lineal champion, I think. Yeah. Okay. So yeah. So Juan Manuel Marquez was no punk. It was no joke. Pacquiao being a welterweight. Marquez wanted to face Pacquiao at welterweight. Pacquiao chose to face instead. I think it was Ricky Hatton, something like that. No, it was Miguel Cotto. He chose instead to face Miguel Cotto and Marquez because Marquez always gave him hell, and he just managed to get a split decision win over Marquez at super featherweight. So Marquez wanted another fight, so he had got himself in position by becoming pound for pound number 2 in the world. Pacquiao was pound for pound number 1 in the world, so Marquez wanted as pound for pound number 2 to face Manny Pacquiao, who was pound for pound number 1 in welterweight, and Pacquiao turned him down. Okay, he ducked him. Okay, a lot of people don't know that. In 2009, he faced Miguel Cotto instead. In fact, Shane Mosley went looking for Manny Pacquiao after he had beat Antonio Margarito in early 2009, trying to get a fight with Manny Pacquiao, and was turned down by Freddie Roach. Freddie Roach said he was too good and too big, and he had to have a catch weight for him. So them two guys was turned down. So when Floyd Mayweather tried to make the fight with Manny Pacquiao after he had beat Juan Manuel Marquez, and Shane Mosley came in and crashed the party, and Mayweather was like, hey, slow up your roll. And he tried to make the fight with Manny Pacquiao in 2010. Manny Pacquiao ducked him too, this time over drug testing. So, it wasn't Floyd Mayweather who delayed everything. It was Manny Pacquiao, all right? And then Floyd Mayweather tried to get at Manny Pacquiao in 2012. And in 2014 or 2015, Mayweather asked Al Heyman, hey, man, I really want to try to make this fight happen. Try to make the fight with Manny Pacquiao happen. Promise me you can do it. Al Haymon said, "I'm gonna try." So Al Haymon tried to make it happen on the front on the back end, while Mayweather arranged something with Manny Pacquiao's. I believe at the time it was his manager, um, Mr. Khan, I think was his name, Michael Khan, and or Michael Khan. No, Michael Khan was for Donald Trump. No, it's somebody else. I can't remember what the guy's name is. Anyway, and they arranged to meet. The guy kind of got Pacquiao to the same basketball game as Floyd Mayweather was. Floyd Mayweather went across. Greek Manny Pacquiao confronted him and said, "Hey man, why are you spreading all these rumors about me? That's not true." And they made the fight. They made the fight happen from that day on. So again, Max Kellerman is lying about Floyd Mayweather maximizing dollars and waiting it out. It just worked out that way. It just worked out that way. Mayweather was like, I don't want to finish my career not facing Manny Pacquiao. So it just worked out that way. Like, for instance, Manny Pacquiao got knocked out in 2012 from Juan Manuel Marquez, same guy that they said was too small for Mayweather. And he got beat by Timothy Bradley. So that set back everything because Mayweather was trying to make that fight with Pacquiao for the longest while. He was getting a lot of flack, because Pacquiao kept on saying in public that he wanted to fight, but in private, he was to keep on turning down Floyd Mayweather. So it was bullshit that was going on. Pacquiao talking about he wanted to fight and he didn't really want to fight. And Marcus set everything back, but they still ended up getting the fight off in 2015 when Pacquiao came back and was doing his thing. And even after his loss to Mayweather, Pacquiao's on the rebound again, and he is a world champion right now. So I mean, Pacquiao's a great fighter. Don't get me wrong, but Mayweather's not responsible, and people need to stop spreading this bullshit. Mayweather was waiting out Pacquiao to get the most amount of dollar out of it. Maybe Bob Arum was trying to get the most out of Pacquiao, but not Mayweather, man. Mayweather was on that beat. So Mayweather easily beat Pacquiao. He was going to beat him in 2010. He was going to beat him anytime. It's clearly styles make fights, so you could see that. The thing about it is, though, Mayweather's cachet, he built up a cachet. He built up a reputation. He beat every single fighter that was put in front of him. Every single fighter he faced, he beat. And that reputation is something that was just spectacular. It's something that's different. And he was able to market that and sell that as well. Not just his undefeated resume. You could be undefeated, but you fought a draw or you had a no contest. It's a perfect record. He beat everybody that was put in front of him. Everybody. Everybody was put in front of him. That's not easy to do. And we're talking about people like Pacquiao. We're talking like people like Mika Cotto, people like Canelo, people like these are. You see what Canelo's doing today, okay? You saw what Cotto did after he lost to Mayweather. You saw what Pacquiao is doing after he lost to Mayweather. You see what Canelo's doing after he lost to Mayweather. These are incredible fighters. Canelo's about to fight a guy that has an 8-inch reach on him. He's got like 5 inches on him in height. And he's going to fight that guy and probably more than likely win. And I'm just saying, that's incredible, right? These are the kinds of fighters Mayweather faced. So when Max Kellerman says this, he's really lying and he's selling himself short. Shane Mosley just demolished Antonio Margarito. Oscar De La Hoya decapitated Ricardo Mayorga. Dab Judah come off a loss, but he showed up. Carlos Baldomir had mowed over Dab Judah, Arturo Gatti, and some other guy. I can't remember who. Marcos Maidana had butchered Adrian Broner and knocked out every single welterweight except for Devin Alexander. I mean, when you think about the guys and what kind of hoopla they created that got the fights with Floyd Mayweather, you don't see that kind of scope and that kind of height and depth nowadays. Not even in the welterweight division. So I'm just saying that, a lot of people really are just haters. And Max Kellerman is just assisting in the hating and the hypercriticism of Floyd Mayweather in his career. This man beat the best of his era. Okay, so he didn't face Paul Williams. What Paul Williams going to bring to the table? That height and reach? Come on, man. Antonio Margarito. He didn't face Margarito. Margarito was never, at the time Mayweather was around, Margarito was never the top dog. Paul Williams was never the top dog. Right? And their longevity proved it. Look at Cotto's longevity. Look at Pacquiao's longevity. Look at Canelo's longevity. Look at Marcos Maidana's longevity. Look at Shane Mosley's was done after Floyd Mayweather, but Zab Judah went on to win a world championship after losing to Floyd Mayweather. Carlos Baldomir was a threat, Vernon Forrest versus Carlos Baldomir, but he never did much more. You know what I'm saying? But my point anyway is a lot of true champions face Floyd Mayweather. A lot of the top guys of the day face Floyd Mayweather. The very best face Floyd Mayweather. That's what developed his resume, and the people know this. So it's not just 50-0, it's 50-0 against the best. And so this bullshit that Max Kellerman is trying to sell you guys, you got to stop listening to this dude. This dude will tell you lies. Okay, Max Kellerman is telling you a lie. He's intellectually dishonest. Floyd Mayweather made the most amount of money having the biggest fights against the top fighters. Okay? But he fought in a style where he did not take a lot of punishment. And he fought smart so that he didn't have to take a lot of punishment. And he dished out more than he took. Say that. That would be truthful. And he made all the fights look easy. No doubt about it. Those guys didn't look like they belonged in the ring with him. But that's because he prepared so well. He was always ready. He stayed ready. And now he gets to reap the benefits of that now that his career is over. His career is over now. Now he gets to reap the benefits of that. So I think a lot of people don't realize Floyd Mayweather was not just going the money route. He went the legacy route as well. He faced the very best, but he knew he could beat every single fighter. So it wasn't just that. He wanted to be compensated for it. And so he made a lot of money. There's a lot of haters and a lot of lovers. And because you got both sides of the coin, he made the most amount of money. It wasn't just fans coming to see him win. It was fans coming to see him win. Fans was coming to see him lose. So he got both sides of the coin. And that's how he made so much money. And then when they see how good he was, they respect him. And then the haters, of course, they would hate on him. But let Floyd Mayweather come true by where you live, and you're going to go out with your hating ass and get an autograph so you can sell some shit. So don't stop the bullshit about you hating this dude, because you know he was great. And Max Kellerman is full of shit. Floyd Mayweather has a cachet. Okay? The man has a cachet, and it's this cachet he's cashing in right now. And he's using it just like any other guy, like Muhammad Ali did, just like Sugar Ray Leonard did, just like Joe Louis did. Okay? Exhibition fights. Okay? That's a throwback thing. It's just now it's money making. But that's always been money making. People always pay to go see somebody do an exhibition. So it's bullshit. Exhibitions were never free. Okay? Joe Louis knocked out a guy in an exhibition. Now, there's a lot of exhibition fights. That's a history of boxing. That's how boxing works. So stop with the bullshit, Max Kellerman. And if Floyd decides he wants to fight a cab driver from Timbuktu, he can do whatever the fuck he wants to do. Doesn't mean I'm going to watch it. I'm not watching Floyd Mayweather versus Logan Paul. I'm not going to watch that. It's not competitive as far as I'm concerned. I don't care how good Logan Paul thinks he is. And I know there's levels to this shit. Okay? But at the same time, Floyd will be what? He'll be 44 years old. Okay? A 44-year-old man versus a 20-something-year-old dude? Shit. I mean, he's got a lot of experience and everything, but I'm just saying. You gotta put that in perspective. And Floyd's like what? He'll come in like 155. Logan Paul come in like 200 pounds. You know what I'm saying? I'm just saying, there's a little intrigue in there. You can see if the old man can do something with this young boy. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, right. So, and Logan Paul's a fit guy and everything, It's kind of like Canelo versus Callum Smith. Canelo's got a lot of experience, but he's a hell of a lot smaller than Callum Smith in terms of height and length, right? Callum Smith's taller and longer than him. And he's a sharp dude, and he's young, just like Canelo. So, that fight looks interesting. It's a very intriguing fight. And the question would be, can Canelo get over those advantages that Callum Smith has physically, and would Callum Smith use, his skills to reap the optimum benefits of having those dimensional advantages over Canelo? They may be advantages or they may be disadvantages. We don't know. You know what I mean? So I'm just saying this because I hate intellectual dishonesty. I hate when people like Max Kellerman propagate lies, And so this is just a piece to let you guys know that that's a lie what Max Kellerman is saying. It's not true at all. Just that Mayweather showed you when you're your own boss and you got the right people and the right team around you, you can optimize and maximize a great fight, a big fight, and make it a big event. Not just a big fight, but a big event. So Floyd Mayweather brought what's called big events to boxing. Okay? He brought a business arm to boxing that had never been seen before, like that. And not only that, but Mayweather's also carried on that business acumen into exhibitions. All right? And he's the main attraction, and he's what makes, people want to see him fight. And it's bullshit when people say, "Oh, my Mayweather's boring. Nobody wants to see him fight." It's bullshit. He cropped in $9 million for less than a minute work of work in Japan. People die to see Floyd Mayweather. If Floyd Mayweather goes to another exhibition, Floyd Mayweather makes money off of just signing autographs and just showing up at events. The UK values Floyd Mayweather. Japan values Floyd Mayweather. Ryzen wants to do something with him and a former super featherweight champion, and he might just do it. You know what I mean? Mayweather's going to have all these exhibition events available to him, especially when COVID comes to an end. So I'm just saying, that's just the way how Mayweather's. Now, if the super featherweight champion, if he's going to fight that dude, who I think it's a Japanese dude, I would watch that, because that dude was a pro fighter at the highest level. He was a champion. I'm sure he's going to be bigger than what he used to be at super featherweight. Both guys are up in age. They're around. I think Mayweather's older than him. He's a little bit younger than Floyd. So I would love to see that. That's a competitive fight as far as I'm concerned, because the both were pro boxers at the highest level, and the guy was a long reigning super featherweight champion. I would watch that, quite frankly. So there's certain things I'll watch, certain things I just won't watch. But I'm pretty sure a lot of people are going to watch it, and I'm not mad at them. Me personally, I like competitive fights. I like fights that are competitive with pro boxers. If you're talking about YouTube boxers versus YouTube boxer, fine. If you're talking about a guy that never boxed before facing a guy that never boxed before, fine. Just make it competitive. It might be sloppy as fuck though. But my point anyway is this: that if you're gonna tell a story, tell it from factual information. Tell it from the truth. And Max Kellerman, ESPN, and HBO have been telling lies about Floyd Mayweather for the longest while. And I really would hope that they would get respect on that Hall of Famer's name. He's a Hall of Famer in the Boxing Hall of Fame. Have some respect for the dude. You know what I mean? Have some respect for him. I'm tired of seeing people try to make him the butt of jokes and try to insinuate that he was cherry picking, that he wasn't facing the best, when it's bullshit. Okay? Stop it. Stop it. All the factual information is there. And he never dodged no fighter. He didn't make the fight with Winky Wright. He didn't make the fight with Corey Spinks. He didn't make those fights, right? And they were on the verge of making the fights happen. But to his credit, neither Winky Wright nor Corey Spinks were in the division he was fighting in. When he tried to make the fight with Winky Wright, he was at super lightweight. Winky Wright was at middleweight. When he tried to make the fight with Corey Spinks, Corey Spinks was, I think, the number one super welterweight in the world. Corey Spinks was at 154. He was at 147. And he was because the Oscar fight fell through, he was trying to make the fight with Corey Spinks. But the pressure was put on him by the public for him to face Carlos Baldomir, who was a real linear welterweight champion. That's why Floyd ended up facing Carlos Baldomir. But he really wanted to face Corey Spinks. Okay? And just a lot of people don't realize it's not a Floyd duck or dodge Corey Spinks. No, he wanted to face Corey Spinks, but pressure was put upon him to face Carlos Baldomir. Otherwise, he would have faced, and Carlos Baldomir was a lineal champion, so he just faced Carlos Baldomir. Because they say he didn't face the real champion. Zab Judah was beaten. You know what I mean? But he really wanted to face another black fighter in Corey Spinks. And also another time he wanted to face Devin Alexander instead of Robert Guerrero, but pressure was put upon him by the public. Oh, Devin Alexander's a shit fight. And Devin Alexander, it would have been a unification fight. Right? People don't remember these things, but I do. Okay? He wanted to face Devin Alexander. Devin Alexander at the time was the IBF welterweight champion of the world. Robert Guerrero wasn't any champion. He just beat Andre Berto and had beaten the other guy. I forgot what the guy's name is. Who was a guy that everybody was avoiding, and he went in and fought him, and he got the decision. Right? So apparently he had to get rid of the Devin Alexander fight because the fans wanted him to face Robert Guerrero. Floyd Mayweather wanted to face Amir Khan. He wanted to face Amir Khan for the longest while. So the situation came up where it was either Amir Khan or Marcos Maidana that the fans had to pick. He let the fans pick because he wanted to face Amir Khan. Amir Khan thought he was going to get the fight. And so Amir Khan got all his fans to go up into Mayweather Promotions site where he had his poll. And there, the fans voted for Amir Khan because he directed his fans there. But there were other polls conducted elsewhere, and those polls favored, most people wanted Marcos Maidana because he just came off of beating Adrian Broner and knocked out a lot of welterweights. He knocked out Soto Karass, he knocked out Josecito Lopez. All right, he had lost to Devin Alexander, but he had knocked out those other two guys. And as a result of that, people wanted to see Marcos Maidana beat Floyd's ass because he wanted to see if Floyd had the same style as Adrian Broner, and so they wanted to see Marcos Maidana beat Floyd's ass. So what ended up happening, Floyd picked Marcos Maidana not because of he didn't want to face Amir Khan. No, he wanted to face Amir Khan, and a lot of people had voted for Amir Khan on his site, but on the other sites they didn't vote for Amir Khan. So he said, okay, since it's Marcos Maidana, people want Marcos Maidana, I'm gonna do Marcos Maidana. So that's how Mayweather ended up facing Marcos Maidana. Okay, so that's basically it. Those are all the people who people say, Mayweather should have faced. He should have faced Amir Khan. He should have faced Winky Wright. He should have faced. They don't really say too much about Corey Spinks, but he should have faced Corey Spinks. He should have faced Miguel Cotto. He should have faced what's the guy's name? Paul Williams. They just say those things, but they would never. Cotto was never the number one guy when Floyd was around. Williams wasn't the number one guy. Margarita wasn't the number one guy. But people forget to say that. Khan wasn't the number one guy. People forget these things. So that's all I got to say for now. Neither was Devin Alexander. That's all I got to say for now. I'm what you need. Hope you guys have a good one. We're going to talk Canelo versus Callum Smith concerning a little bit more information I want to give you guys concerning this fight because I'm actually excited for it now and to see how it will turn out. I saw that, what's the guy's name? Forgot what his name is. The something brand in the land. Can't remember the guy's name. But it's strange, but I can't remember the guy's channel, but he was pushing for Callum Smith to win the fight against Canelo. And he's saying, Callum Smith's going to surprise everybody. So, see, some people actually starting to understand Callum Smith ain't no joke. He's not just somebody you're going to overlook. So, it should be a good fight, though. It should be a great fight. We'll see who the winner is. It's a good fight. I heard Demetrius Andrews say it's a 50-50 fight. If he got to go with anybody, he's going to go with the money guy, which is Canelo. Because, if Canelo wins, then he gets a shot at him. So, all right, peoples, I'll be out of here. But it looks like Demetrius Andrews and Billy Joe Saunders is going to be they're going to be matching up. I'm going to catch you guys later. Peace.